The Galactic Space Council had known peace for eons. Their vast domain, stretched across thousands of star systems, civilizations of all kinds, had flourished under their watchful eyes. The principles of harmony, cooperation, and shared knowledge had become sacred in their time. The Council had dealt with the rise and fall of countless species, but none had ever posed a true challenge to their established order. They believed themselves to be the pinnacle of evolution of culture and technology, until the message came, a simple transmission that arrived with an eerie calm, as if it were an invitation. But none knew who was sending it. The transmission itself was clear but cryptic, a message of only 4 words: "We've arrived." The Council ignored it at first, chalking it up to a glitch, or perhaps some rogue signal from a distant unknown. But when the second transmission came, the entire Council was forced to pay attention. A fleet of ships had just appeared at the edges of galactic space, each one an imposing silhouette against the black expanse. The ships moved with precision, their course unwavering, their hulls dark and gleaming like obsidian. They defied the known laws of physics, their gravity wells stretching in ways no one could understand. The ships didn't broadcast any signals, no communication at all. They simply hovered as if waiting for the universe to notice they had arrived. At first, the Council believed it could be a mere coincidence, a fleet from some far-flung region of space, a species unknown, but not particularly dangerous. However, the more they examined the anomaly, the more they realized the truth. These ships were unlike anything they had ever seen. The structure of the ships was built from materials never before encountered. They glowed faintly in the dark of space, as though powered by something other than conventional fuel sources. Scans revealed no familiar elements, no known alloys. The ships seemed to harness energy in ways that bent space itself. The idea that such a fleet could exist outside of their domain was unthinkable. The Council had no immediate answers. The most advanced races in the galaxy had long believed that harnessing such power was impossible. The idea of manipulating dark matter was something they had only theorized about, but humanity had somehow achieved it. And now this strange fleet of theirs was standing at the edge of their civilization. Unblinking, the Council had long prided itself on its diplomacy, its ability to maintain peace and order in the galaxy. But this new development forced them into a corner. They didn't understand who these humans were, what they wanted, or what their technology could mean for the future of the galaxy. They did not even know how to approach them. They had hoped the fleet would communicate, but it remained silent, and still, a looming presence casting a shadow over everything else. The Council convened in a state of urgent deliberation. Some argued for immediate action, others called for more time to observe. But one thing was clear: humanity had arrived, and their ships were a sign that everything was about to change forever. The silence of space was shattered when humanity's ships finally moved. They did not advance with the slow, calculated precision of a scout fleet, nor did they show signs of fear or hesitation. Their movements were deliberate and purposeful, as though they had a clear destination in mind. The Council had ordered all ships to remain at their posts to monitor the new arrivals, but no one knew what to expect. Humanity had defied every assumption they had about a species so young. How had they achieved such mastery over the forces of nature so quickly? But the real surprise came when humanity made its first broadcast, a transmission that would forever change the Council's view of them. It was a simple message, but its implications were immense. Captain Celine Marcus stood before a holographic projector. Her calm demeanor did little to ease the sense of dread that filled the Council chambers. She spoke with authority, but not arrogance. Her voice was steady and clear. "We are here to make contact," she said. "We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." The Council was stunned by the words, not because of the promise of peace, but because of the certainty in her tone. This was no frightened race trying to survive. This was a species that had mastered forces the Council could barely understand. They weren't offering to negotiate or beg for their place in the galaxy. They were simply stating a fact: humanity had arrived, and they expected to be treated with the same respect as any other galactic power. The silence stretched on as the Council representatives processed the words. No one had expected this. No one had expected humanity to stand before them With such confidence, they were a species of explorers and warriors. Their fleet did not move as invaders, they moved as if they already belonged there. Their ships were made of unknown materials that bent light and absorbed energy in ways that defied comprehension. Their engines pulsed with dark matter that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Entire systems of energy manipulation were contained in the heart of each ship, every weapon a silent promise of power. The fleet hovered there just beyond the edge of galactic space, like a shadow cast over the Council's carefully constructed peace. No one knew how to respond to such a presence. Humanity was both familiar and alien to them. Their history was brief, their technological development was shockingly fast. Yet there was something about their approach that spoke to a deeper strength. Humanity had not come to seek permission or validation, they had come to stake their claim in the galaxy, and they had the power to back it up. The Council's deliberation was swift, but indecisive. Fear and awe mixed in equal measure as they debated what to do. The militaristic factions among them feared humanity's new weaponry, seeing it as an existential threat to the balance of power. The peaceful factions argued that humanity could be an ally, someone who could help push the boundaries of knowledge and exploration forward. But the uncertainty loomed heavy. The next move was unclear and time was ticking. Humanity's ships hung in space like sentinels watching, waiting, while the Council decided whether they would embrace this new reality or try to resist it. The debate within the Galactic Space Council had spiraled into chaos, each faction pulling in a different direction. The peaceful members pushed for dialogue, urging caution and open-mindedness. Humanity's potential as an ally was too great to ignore. The more militaristic factions, led by the Tyrithians, however, argued for immediate action. They saw humanity's power as a threat that could destabilize the entire galaxy, and they weren't about to let an unknown force claim dominance over their carefully maintained order. Whispers of war began to stir behind closed doors. The Tyrithians had long been a dominant force in galactic affairs. Their advanced military had kept many species in check, and they were not about to let a fledgling species with untested power challenge their supremacy. The fear of being overshadowed by humanity's unexpected leap in technology was palpable in their eyes. Humanity was an unpredictable element. They had no idea whether these humans would seek peace or war, but they were willing to bet that humanity's newfound power would be used recklessly. It was clear the Council needed answers, and fast. Humanity had made it clear that their motives were peaceful, but could they be trusted? Or was there something darker lurking behind their sudden emergence on a galactic stage? It was a question that would define the future of the galaxy. Captain Celine Marcus had heard the whispers of war, but she didn't flinch at them. She had known from the moment her fleet had emerged from hyperspace that not everyone would welcome them with open arms. But she was confident in humanity's abilities to protect itself and in its commitment to peace. When the Council finally contacted her ship, she stood before the viewing panel, her face calm but resolute. "We are not here to threaten you," she said, her words carrying the weight of 1,000 years of human struggle. "We come to share what we've learned, to explore with you, and if necessary to defend ourselves. But we will not be intimidated into submission." Her voice echoed through the Council chambers, and for a brief moment, the debate halted. The Council members were struck by the clarity of her conviction. Humanity's fleet was unlike anything they had seen before. It wasn't just a show of force, it was a statement of independence, an expression of a species that had learned the harsh lessons of survival and had emerged stronger from them. Captain Marcus continued, "We've come across knowledge that was not our own, but we've made it our own. We control dark matter. We control the forces of the universe, and we will not be silenced by fear." The Council listened in stunned silence as her words rang out. The full weight of humanity's power was now fully realized, but with that realization came a sharp division. Some Council members felt that humanity's force was a necessary counterbalance to other aggressive factions, while others believed that humanity's rise would only lead to further conflict. The Tyrithians were the loudest in their objections, accusing humanity of hiding their true intentions behind a facade of diplomacy. They demanded that humanity's fleet be disbanded and their technology shared with the Council for review. This demand was met with a fierce response from Captain Marcus. She made it clear that humanity would not be bullied into submission, they would not relinquish their hard-earned discoveries, nor would they hand over control of their future to a body that had ruled unchallenged for centuries. She stood firm, a beacon of defiance to those who would seek to undermine humanity's place in the galaxy. But behind the political rhetoric and the fear, a deeper question lingered in the air. What would humanity do if the Council refused to accept them as equals? Would they fight to maintain their place, or would they retreat into isolation? And if they chose war, would anyone be able to stop them? The tension within the Galactic Space Council was reaching its breaking point. The debate had escalated into something far beyond diplomacy. The peaceful factions were losing patience, while the militaristic Tyrithians continued to push for an immediate show of force. They saw humanity's refusal to surrender control of their dark matter technology as a challenge to the established order. Captain Celine Marcus, however, remained steadfast. Humanity was not interested in war, but they would not be intimidated into submission. The Council's response was swift. They demanded a demonstration of humanity's technology, a show of restraint to prove that their newfound power was not a threat to galactic peace. Captain Marcus reluctantly agreed, but only on the condition that the demonstration be held in an uninhabited system, far from any populated worlds. This was not just a chance to display their strength, it was humanity's opportunity to prove their commitment to peace. With the decision made, the human fleet set course for an empty system on the edge of Council territory. It was a place where no species resided, a silent space untouched by civilization. As humanity's warships moved into position, the Council representatives watched closely from their monitoring stations, their eyes wide with anticipation. The peaceful factions hoped for an amicable resolution, while the Tyrithians and their allies waited for any sign of aggression. The demonstration began with a hum. The warships, sleek and shimmering with dark energy, aligned in perfect formation. The moment humanity activated the dark matter cores within their ships, the surrounding space seemed to warp. The air around the ships shimmered, and the stars themselves bent. The first ship fired a focused beam of energy, a pulse that sent shockwaves through the void. It didn't destroy anything, but the power was undeniable. The beam didn't burn or explode. It simply shifted the fabric of space, creating ripples in the very dimension that the galaxy existed within. A singularity was created, a small black hole, no larger than a ship's hull, and it was held in perfect stability. The Council representatives gasped. They watched in awe and horror as the singularity remained suspended in the cold emptiness, a silent promise of the unimaginable power humanity held. Captain Marcus spoke again, her voice clear and commanding as the event unfolded. "This is the power we wield," she said. "We do not seek to destroy. We do not seek to conquer. We seek to understand. And we will defend our sovereignty, but we will not impose our will upon others." As the first singularity vanished, the fleet's other ships demonstrated their versatility. One ship activated its energy shields, and for a brief moment, it seemed to disappear, its form absorbed into the very fabric of space. Another ship generated a focused burst of dark matter energy, slicing through a barren moon, altering its trajectory ever so slightly without causing any damage to the surface. The demonstration was nothing short of breathtaking, controlled, precise, and undeniably powerful. But it was the final demonstration that would leave an indelible mark on the Council. Captain Marcus activated the singularity cannon again, this time not on a moon or a distant star, but on a piece of debris floating in space. The event was over in seconds. The debris was pulled toward the singularity, vanishing into its event horizon. But what followed was what stunned everyone. The singularity didn't collapse or implode. It was held stable, absorbing the debris and releasing it in perfect order, as though it had never existed. The message was clear. Humanity's power was not simply destructive. It was controlled, it was intelligent, and it was precise. And the demonstration was not just about power. It was a statement about humanity's place in the galaxy. They were not conquerors, but they were no longer willing to be passive observers either. The council members, stunned into silence, could hardly comprehend what they had just witnessed. The Tyrithians were visibly shaken, their bravado cracked for the first time. But they were not ready to concede. One of their generals, eyes cold and calculating, stood up and spoke. "This power cannot be left unchecked. We cannot allow a single species to hold such sway over the galaxy's future." Captain Marcus' response was measured, but her words were sharp. "Then we will stand ready," she said. "But we are not your enemy. We are humanity, and we will protect ourselves and our future." With that, the demonstration ended. The ships fell silent, hovering in space as if to await the Council's next move. The future of humanity's place in the galaxy now hung in the balance, and the Council had a decision to make, one that would either reshape the galaxy or fracture it forever. The demonstration left the Galactic Space Council in turmoil. While the peaceful factions were beginning to sway toward accepting humanity as an ally, the militaristic ones, led by the Tyrithians, were more determined than ever to stop the rise of this new power. The raw strength humanity had displayed could not be ignored, but for the Tyrithians, it was an existential threat. Their place at the top of the galactic hierarchy was built on their military might, and now, a younger species had revealed they could match, or even surpass, them in power. Tensions began to escalate quickly. The Tyrithians, unwilling to show any sign of weakness, called for an immediate assembly of their fleet. They proposed a bold and dangerous plan, a preemptive strike against humanity's dark matter warships. It was clear they had no interest in diplomacy, only dominance. The council was divided. Some factions argued for dialogue, wanting to avoid bloodshed at all costs. Others saw this as a necessary measure to ensure that no single species could rise to challenge the collective peace of the galaxy. But the one thing they all agreed on was this: humanity had to be tested. The question was no longer whether they could be trusted, but whether they could be controlled. Captain Celine Marcus, meanwhile, was acutely aware of the growing hostility. She knew the Tyrithians would not back down easily. Her people, though strong and resolute, had never fought a galactic war. Despite their technological prowess, humanity had only recently emerged as a unified force. She couldn't risk a war, but she couldn't allow humanity to be driven into submission either. As the Council deliberated on the fate of humanity, a crucial moment arrived. The Tyrithians, backed by several other militaristic factions, launched an unprovoked strike. Their fleets appeared at the edge of the system, their ships gleaming with deadly intent. It was a challenge that would not go unanswered. The human fleet, under Captain Marcus's command, responded immediately. The dark matter warships, with their gravity-defying engines and nearly impervious shields, glided into position. Humanity was not about to cower. They had come to the galaxy with a message of peace, but now they would defend their place in the stars. The battle began as a cat-and-mouse game. The Tyrithians, relying on brute strength, attempted to overpower humanity with sheer numbers. Their ships, heavily armored and equipped with advanced weaponry, fired relentlessly on humanity's smaller, more agile fleet. But the Tyrithians had underestimated humanity's adaptability. Humanity's warships moved with astonishing precision, their dark matter-based technology enabling them to anticipate enemy movements in real time. Every shot fired by the Tyrithians was met with a calculated countermeasure. The human ships seemed to slip through space, evading attack with impossible grace. When a Tyrithian ship finally managed to get a shot on one of the human vessels, the weapon merely bounced off its shields, leaving no trace of damage. The Tyrithians, used to fighting with overwhelming force, began to falter. They were not used to facing an enemy that could outthink them, that could predict their every move. The human fleet, though smaller, was far more nimble, using advanced tactics and an unshakable will to survive. But the Tyrithians were not so easily defeated. As the battle raged on, they unleashed a secret weapon, a weapon capable of distorting space-time itself. The weapon fired a concentrated burst of energy that created a brief rupture in the fabric of reality, momentarily disrupting the human ship's ability to navigate through space. It was an act of desperation, a gamble that could give them the upper hand. Captain Marcus saw the attack coming and made a decision that would shape the course of the battle. She ordered her fleet to perform a synchronized jump through the disruption, utilizing their dark matter technology to stabilize their ships mid-transit. It was a dangerous maneuver, but it was their only chance to stay one step ahead of the Tyrithians. With a flash of light, the human fleet vanished from the battlefield and reappeared several light-years away, catching the Tyrithians completely off guard. The Tyrithian fleet, unable to adjust quickly enough, was left with nothing but the void. The victory was hard-earned, but it was undeniable. Humanity had proven they were not only capable of defending themselves, but could do so with remarkable precision and ingenuity. The Tyrithians, their fleet crippled and their pride shattered, were forced to retreat. The battle, though a victory for humanity, left the Council in an uneasy silence. The peaceful factions had witnessed humanity's strength, but now there was an unspoken fear. What would happen if humanity no longer wanted peace? Would they be a force for good, or would they become the next great power to threaten the galaxy's fragile peace? Captain Marcus, standing in her command center, gazed at the stars. The galaxy had just seen what humanity was capable of. The question now was how they would use that power. As the echoes of the battle faded and the Tyrithian fleet retreated, a new realization began to settle in across the galaxy. Humanity's power was undeniable. The peaceful factions of the Galactic Space Council, who had once hoped for an alliance with this mysterious species, now found themselves unsure of how to proceed. The militaristic factions, led by the Tyrithians, were bruised but not broken. The galaxy had just witnessed a shift. A new player had emerged, and they were not content to simply follow the established order. For Captain Celine Marcus and humanity's leadership, the aftermath of the skirmish was a moment of quiet reflection. Humanity had defended its place, but the cost was heavy. Even with their advanced dark matter technology, the battle had shown them just how dangerous galactic politics could be. It wasn't just about power, it was about how that power was perceived and wielded. Captain Marcus knew that the galaxy wouldn't accept humanity as a neutral force, not after what they had just seen. Back on Earth, in the heart of humanity's fleet, a different kind of revelation was unfolding. While the galaxy's leaders bickered and made their plans, humanity's brightest minds began to pore over the ancient alien technology that had allowed them to unlock dark matter. The truth was more profound than anyone had expected. The dark matter technology was not something humanity had created. They had found it, buried deep beneath the surface of Earth, remnants of a long-lost civilization, an alien race far more ancient than anything the Council had ever encountered. This race, which had once spread across the stars, had mastered the manipulation of dark matter, using it not for destruction, but for understanding. They had used it to stabilize entire star systems, to bridge the gaps between dimensions, and to create lasting peace across galaxies. But then, the civilization vanished. No one knew why. Their technology lay dormant for millennia until humanity, with its relentless curiosity and drive, had uncovered it. The implications of this discovery were far-reaching. Humanity had not simply inherited technology. They had inherited a legacy. The ancient race had left behind blueprints for a peaceful future, one that could revolutionize the galaxy, not through conquest, but through shared knowledge and understanding. But with this knowledge came a burden. Humanity now stood at a crossroads. They could follow the path of the ancient civilization, one of unity, exploration, and peace, or they could use their newfound power to carve out a new empire, challenging the very foundation of the Galactic Space Council. The Council's response was swift. With the Tyrithian fleet in retreat, the peaceful factions of the Council had gained the upper hand. They sent a delegation to Earth, hoping to meet with humanity's leaders and learn more about the alien technology they had uncovered. It was a desperate move, driven by the realization that humanity held the key to the future of the galaxy. The Tyrithians, having lost their confidence after the battle, reluctantly agreed to the meeting. When the delegation arrived on Earth, they were greeted with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Humanity's scientists and leaders, having spent years working with the ancient technology, had begun to understand its true potential. The delegation was shown not only the raw power of the dark matter ships, but the peaceful applications as well, how entire star systems could be stabilized, how energy could be harnessed without environmental harm, how travel between galaxies could be achieved without the risk of destruction. But there was something else, something the delegation wasn't prepared for. In the ruins of the ancient alien civilization, humanity had discovered an encrypted message, a warning. The civilization had known that their power, if misused, could lead to catastrophe. They had warned that the key to unlocking the dark matter technology was not just understanding how to use it, but understanding why it had been abandoned in the first place. The message was clear: no one species should wield such power alone. It was too dangerous, too destabilizing, and too capable of destroying everything they had worked for. Captain Marcus was the first to understand the weight of the warning. Humanity had been gifted incredible knowledge, but they also bore a great responsibility. The question was not whether they could use the technology, it was whether they should. The temptation to dominate, to assert their newfound power over the galaxy, was strong. But Marcus knew that to truly honor the legacy of the ancient race, humanity had to make a choice: peace or power. As the delegation from the Galactic Space Council stood before her, their eyes filled with wonder and fear, Captain Marcus made a quiet but powerful decision. Humanity would share the knowledge, but only on the condition that the galaxy worked together. The age of one species dominating others was over. The future would belong to those who could come together, who could learn from the past and build a new path forward. Humanity had the power to reshape the galaxy, but it would not do so alone. As the Galactic Space Council stood at a precipice, uncertain of how to move forward, Captain Celine Marcus's proposal echoed in the minds of every leader present. Humanity had made it clear. They were not interested in domination, but they were also unwilling to relinquish the power they had uncovered. The knowledge of dark matter was now shared with the galaxy, but with the caveat that it must be used responsibly. It was a bold move, a challenge to the way the galaxy had operated for centuries. But would the Council accept this new paradigm, or would they see it as a weakness to exploit? The Council, in all its wisdom, had never encountered a species quite like humanity. Their curiosity, their ingenuity, and their capacity for empathy had always been their strengths. Yet, as the Council members looked at the power humanity had unleashed, they realized that their virtues could also become their greatest liabilities. Would humanity adhere to their ideals of peace, or would the temptation to use this technology for their own gain be too great? The Tyrithians, bruised and battered from their defeat, were quick to voice their discontent. They saw this moment of sharing as a tactical maneuver, not an altruistic one. Humanity's actions were more than just diplomacy. They were a declaration of independence, a refusal to be bound by the Council's ancient rules. For the Tyrithians, this was not simply about one species wielding a new weapon. It was about the survival of their power. If humanity succeeded in creating a coalition that could wield dark matter technology responsibly, the Tyrithian Empire would be rendered obsolete, and the Tyrithians would not go quietly into the void. While the Tyrithians raised their objections, the peaceful factions of the Council grew intrigued. They had long dreamed of a galaxy where knowledge was shared, where resources were distributed equally, and where technology was used for the common good. Humanity had the potential to fulfill that dream. Their offer to share the power of dark matter, with strict regulations and oversight, was an opportunity to create a new galactic order, one that didn't rely on military might or political maneuvering, but on cooperation and innovation. The peaceful factions were convinced that humanity's intentions were genuine, but they knew that the path ahead would be fraught with peril. As the discussion stretched late into the galactic night, Captain Marcus received a message. It was from the heart of Earth's government, a transmission that carried the weight of the decision humanity now faced. The message was simple, but its implications were profound. We will move forward, but we will do so with caution. We will not allow the power of the past to control us. The choice is ours to make. Captain Marcus knew that humanity could not afford to remain passive. The future of the galaxy, the future of all civilizations, now rested on the balance between cooperation and power. If humanity was to be part of this galaxy, they would have to prove that they could use their technology for good, that they could resist the urge to impose their will and instead lead by example. But what if the galaxy wasn't ready for that kind of leadership? What if the forces of division and fear were too strong to overcome? On the other side of the galaxy, the Tyrithians gathered their forces, preparing for one final confrontation. Their pride had been wounded, and they refused to let this moment pass without striking back. They had already begun assembling a fleet far larger than the one that had clashed with humanity earlier, one that would dwarf anything humanity had deployed. Their minds were set on one thing: reclaiming their place at the top, no matter the cost. They could not allow a species with such power to thrive unchecked. But Captain Marcus and her fleet were not unprepared. Humanity's warships, now enhanced with dark matter technology, were more than just a force of destruction. They were symbols of resistance, a message that echoed through the galaxy. We will not fall. As the galactic tensions reached a boiling point, the peaceful factions of the Council pushed for a final desperate negotiation. The time for war seemed inevitable. Humanity's fleet, knowing that the stakes had never been higher, prepared for the battle of their lives. But Captain Marcus, in the quiet moments before the storm, wondered if the galaxy could ever truly change. Could they survive the coming darkness, or was this the beginning of the end? The galaxy was on the brink. Everything humanity had fought for, their ideals, their technology, their place among the stars, was about to be tested in ways they had never imagined. And the question now was no longer whether humanity could win. It was whether they could bring the galaxy with them, or if they would be consumed by the very power they had once sought to tame. The galaxy stood on the brink of war, its future uncertain as the stage was set for a final confrontation. The Tyrithians, now bolstered by an overwhelming fleet, had made their intentions clear. They would crush humanity's rise before it could disrupt the established order. On the other side, humanity's warships, reinforced with dark matter technology, lay in wait, their presence a silent promise that they would defend their newfound place among the stars, whatever the cost. As the battle lines were drawn, Captain Celine Marcus stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, humanity's flagship. Her eyes scanned the stars, knowing that the fate of not just her species, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. The peaceful factions of the Galactic Space Council had begged for one last attempt at negotiation, hoping to avoid bloodshed, but the Tyrithians had refused to back down. Their pride, their long-standing dominance, could not be easily overcome. Humanity, however, had no intention of simply defending its right to exist. Marcus understood the implications of their actions. The use of dark matter could easily spiral out of control, leading to destruction. But they had a responsibility to prove that such power could be used to create, not destroy. It was a challenge that would define not just humanity, but the entire galaxy's future. A message arrived, breaking the tense silence on the Indomitable. "The Tyrithian fleet is on the move," the voice reported. "They're closing in." Captain Marcus nodded grimly. "Prepare to engage. But remember, our goal is to protect, not annihilate. We're not here to start a war. We're here to ensure a future." Her crew worked quickly, readying their ships for battle. Humanity's fleet was smaller, yes, but each ship was equipped with dark matter technology, an edge no one had anticipated. As the Tyrithian armada approached, Marcus could feel the weight of their judgment. Humanity had proven itself capable of immense power, but this would be their ultimate test. The question now wasn't whether humanity could survive. It was whether they could remain true to their ideals and avoid becoming the very thing they had fought to avoid. Another empire, another oppressive force in the galaxy. The Tyrithian fleet arrived in full force, a vast armada of warships bristling with weapons, their hulls designed to withstand the harshest of attacks. But as they moved into position, humanity's ships didn't meet them with brute force. Instead, they took up defensive positions, using their dark matter-based shields to create a barrier, an invisible wall that rendered the Tyrithian weapons useless. The Tyrithians fired, sending waves of energy blasts toward the human fleet, but they hit nothing but empty space. Humanity's ships twisted and bent through space like shadows, their movements so fluid it seemed unnatural. The Tyrithian forces had no idea how to react. This wasn't a battle they had prepared for. Captain Marcus watched the chaos unfold, her mind focused on one thing: control. The fight was not about destruction. Humanity's warships didn't fire back. They didn't need to. The sheer presence of their dark matter technology was enough to overwhelm the Tyrithians. With each attempt at attack, the Tyrithian ships found their weapons dissipating before they could make contact. Their energy redirected harmlessly into space. But the Tyrithians were not easily defeated. In the midst of their confusion, they launched a final, desperate maneuver, a barrage of weapons that aimed to disrupt the very fabric of space itself, a last-ditch effort to break through humanity's defenses. The weapons released an enormous burst of energy, targeting humanity's fleet at its core. The Indomitable shook as the energy wave hit, but Captain Marcus remained steady. She gave one simple order: redirect all available power to the core shield. With a roar, the ship's engines surged to life, pushing the shield to its maximum capacity. Time seemed to stretch as the energy collided with the barrier, a violent explosion of light and sound. But humanity's technology held strong. The shield absorbed the wave, dispersing it harmlessly. The Tyrithian fleet, now depleted and in disarray, hesitated. They had thrown everything they had at humanity, and yet humanity stood firm. It was clear that the battle was over, but what would come next? In the aftermath, the Tyrithians sent an emissary. The message was simple, but laden with significance. We surrender. The galaxy will not bow to one species, but we will work together, or we will destroy ourselves. Captain Marcus nodded, her voice calm but unwavering. Then we will rebuild together. The final battle had been fought, not with destruction, but with restraint. Humanity had proven its strength, not through domination, but through unity and control. They had shown the galaxy that even in the face of immense power, it was not violence that would shape the future. It was the willingness to collaborate, to share, and to rise above the mistakes of the past. As the Tyrithian ships turned away, retreating into the depths of space, Captain Marcus looked to the stars once more. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had not only secured its place in the galaxy, they had set the stage for something greater. And this time, it was not about conquering the stars. It was about guiding them toward a future where peace, knowledge, and cooperation would shine brighter than any weapon ever could.